Would you please give it up for the leaders of Students for Life? We want to introduce to you someone who you know well, someone who's been all over the TV. Would you please make a huge welcome as you go to your seats for Ms. Kristan?
Yeah.
There she is. Right. Give it up, give it up, give it up.
Good morning, everyone. Take your seats. I have to be at TV studio in 25 minutes. So I have some important things to share with you today before I run out the door and come right back. Was yesterday not an incredible day? You know, I'm going to get a little personal today, and I'm not like a sharer of emotional stuff, so just bear with me. 8 years ago, I received the most incredible blessing. My first son, Gunnar, was born, and I became a mother with a child out of utero. And I remember I had all of these, plans and dreams for his life, all these things I wanted to make sure he did. I was valedictorian in my high school, my college, so I was like, he's gonna be a straight A student, he's gonna get into these colleges. I had a lot of plans for Gunnar. And I still do. He doesn't know about them yet. 3 months after he was born, though, we received a devastating diagnosis that Gunnar has cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is a life-threatening disease that is usually fatal, and there is no cure. It's a very time-intensive disease, very costly, and can be very painful. Today, Gunnar and his sister, Gracie, my youngest child, my daughter, Gracie, suffer from CF. And I remember at the time when we got the diagnosis, all of these things I had planned for Gunnar's life, all of these things that I thought were important, just kind of faded away. At that moment, my concern wasn't what high school GPA he was going to have, or what college he was going to go to, or what career he was going to choose. My concern was, how long will he live, and how fulfilling will his life be? Will he live a happy, fulfilled life? Will he do everything he wants to do in his lifetime? And I was talking about this with some friends, and I really struggled with this for a while. And I thought about, how do I make sure he grows up and has this happy and fulfilled life? And someone had talked to me, and I think it was a priest or a pastor, and we talked about what it means to live an extraordinary life. How do you live an extraordinary life? And it's living a life for others. Gunnar's a pretty ordinary kid, except he's super smart and super sweet and super cute. But my goal for Gunnar is for him to lead an extraordinary life. I want him to lead a fulfilled life. And the way I'm going to make sure that happens is that he lives a life for other people. He lives that life serving other people. That his attitude isn't shaped by his disease or his suffering. His attitude is shaped by those he serves. And I was thinking about us today, and I was thinking about what our conference theme of heroic means today. I was thinking about, how ordinary most of us are. Most of us grew up in pretty middle-class homes. If you grew up in a rich home, see me later, I need some fundraising dollars. But most of us were pretty middle-class people. A lot of us, didn't really have to overcome anything extraordinary in our life. I'm like this ordinary person from West Virginia. But I live this incredible life. I do these crazy things. I live an extraordinary life. Just like all of our team members at Students for Life. Just like all of you, because we've set our sights to something higher. We've set our sights on ending abortion. We have a mission for our lives, and our mission is to serve others and to save lives and to abolish abortion in our lifetime. And men and women, in age, with this generation, that's extraordinary. That's heroic. You know, last week we were out in Washington at the so-called Women's March, and we weren't welcome there, but we went anyway. And when the march came by us, we just jumped in front with our Abortion Betrays Women banners. And we were sitting there eating pizza, and I regretted eating pizza at the time because I was running soon later. And we were like, crap, the march has started! Move, move, move! And if you were with me, thank you, and I apologize for all the yelling for 15 minutes. Get out there, get out there, get out there! And we just went out. There actually wasn't a lot of thought behind it. We just saw it happening, and we knew we wanted our message to be out front of that women's march. So for several blocks, the pro-life movement, the pro-life generation actually led one of the largest marches on Washington, D.C. ever. That was extraordinary. And yesterday, as I was walking through the crowds of the March for Life, people were like, I love what you guys did, the Women's March. I saw it on TV, I read a news article. I was like, great. We weren't thinking about it at all. We just did it. Because we lived that extraordinary life. Men and women, this is what I want you to be challenged with today. This is why today is so important. Because we need a new generation of heroes. And you all can be those heroes. This is a cause worth investing in. This is a cause worth investing in. Because this is the greatest human rights injustice our world, our country has ever known. We have a plan and a path for victory. And in case you didn't notice it yesterday, we're kind of on that path. We are winning. That's an applause line. Thank you. Wake up. We have a path and a plan for victory. We know what our mission is, but we need you. Because honestly, our parents' generation kind of wasn't very good at it. We still have abortion. Our parents' generation, when you poll our parents and even our grandparents sometimes, they poll actually more pro-abortion than young people. In most polls today, our generation is the pro-life one. We are the first youth generation since the Supreme Court handed down Roe and Doe that actually polls pro-life. 53% of us say that abortion should be illegal in all or almost every case. That is huge. Or in the words of our new president, huge. That's never happened before, but we need you on the front lines. You know, I was in college and I was writing a paper about social movements. It's funny, I ended up doing that for a living. And I was reading the letter from Birmingham jail, and I remember in high school, I had read it quickly, and I was like looking for all like the really good Martin Luther King quotes to like put on pro-life flyers, but I hadn't really read the whole thing. But in college, you know, sometimes you have to read like the whole thing. So I opened it up and I read like the dedication, who Martin Luther King Jr. wrote that letter from Birmingham jail to. Do you all know who he wrote that letter to? Are you smarter than I was? He actually wrote his letter to Christians. It wasn't to the KKK or to the bigots that were in the South. It was to Christian pastors, clergy in Birmingham who told them, you know, we're with you. We think civil rights is important. We believe we were all created equal under God. But, you know, it's just not the right time for this civil action, this civil disobedience. It's causing too much of a fuss. That's our problem today when we talk about abortion. Majority of women who obtain abortions report, over 70% report that they attended church in the last month. Why is our generation, why have our parents failed? Where has the church gone? Our generation can step up. We have to challenge our culture. And what's so interesting was this quote from the letter that really struck me. He said, you know, The greatest challenge that we have, and he was talking about the civil rights movement, and I think this is the challenge today in the pro-life movement, is those who prefer a negative peace which is the absence of tension, than those who prefer a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. That is our problem today in America. We don't want to talk about abortion. I always joke like I'm like the worst person to invite to a dinner party or any party because I talk about abortion all the time. Because I make people talk about something that's a little uncomfortable. Now, Josh Brahm later after me will tell you how not to be too weird when you're doing it. And I've become better over the years. But it's important that we keep talking about it. Because there's an absence of justice in our society. And this is a generation that can actually make a difference. You know, yesterday was the most covered March for Life ever in our 44 years. And I know there's a lot of different opinions about President Trump out there. We're a very diverse generation. But he was the one who called the media there yesterday. And it was fascinating. It was fascinating to me because I was doing these TV interviews and I was doing these newspaper interviews, and they couldn't get over, one, how many people were there. Like, I guess every January, March for Life, like no one's out in the streets to see all the streets closed down. So that people were shocked at how many people were there, but then they were shocked about how many young people were there. And I was like, we aren't lying. We are the pro-life generation. So, what do we need to do to win? You all know me. I'm bossy. You get my emails and texts and see my Facebook posts. I'm a bossy person. I'm very sorry. The first thing, we need to be able to expose the darkness. Let me say this very clearly. Talking about defunding and prosecuting Planned Parenthood for killing babies and selling their body parts for profit, that is not mean. Talking about defunding Planned Parenthood is not mean. If we love people, we have to be able to tell them the truth. We can do it with love, and we can do it with compassion, and with all the cool gizmos and technology, but we have to be able to talk about it. Is everyone clear on that point? And we're going to expect you to talk about it this year because we are closer than ever before to defunding the abortion Goliath in our country, the one entity that drives all of the marketing for abortion in our country, that is the single biggest opposition to pro-life legislation. We're on our way to federally defunding them, which is huge. And then we're going to redirect all that money to pregnancy help centers and federally qualified health centers. So the next thing we've got to do is we've got to recruit new members. This is why your Students for Life groups matter. This is why Students for Life simply just isn't an online organization. In order to have a true social movement, we have to have groups on our campuses. You legitimize the pro-life belief and opinion on your campus. You show other people that being pro-life is valid and it's in the majority, and by the way, we're not weird and we're kind of cool. We have to recruit more people into our movement. Don't be ashamed to be in the pro-life group. Get out there every single week with your poll tables and recruit. The third thing we need to do is we need to challenge our institutions. Universities, high schools, schools, churches, synagogues, any religious entity, and media. Those are our three big institutions in our nation, and we have to challenge them. We can't be afraid to combat our school administration when they're denying our rights. We can't be afraid to tweet to the media and say, why are you saying anti-choice? We're the ones who are pro-choice. We can't be afraid to go up to our religious leaders and say, why aren't you talking about abortion? It's Respect Life Month. Why isn't there a post-abortion healing resource at our church or parish? We have to be able to challenge these institutions. That's 3, right? Expose the darkness, recruit new members. I know it's morning. I'm going over this. Challenge the institutions. There's 2 more. Seek justice. Be involved with our Pregnant on Campus initiative or Building a Better Future initiative. Make sure no woman on your campus, in your school, feels like she has to choose between the life of her child and her education or her life goals. The 5th one, this is the hardest one and it costs no money. It's easy for us. Adults, it's a little hard. You have to be able to envision a nation without abortion. You know, thank you. I have been on the media, kind of circa the past 2 days, and what's so interesting is yesterday, if you saw me, ABC was following me around, and these interviewers, these reporters like to interview me because I tell them the truth. And they think I'm kind of crazy. I interviewed this one lady a couple years ago, and I told her our mission is to abolish abortion. And she was like, it's kind of a big goal. So yesterday, she followed me around again. And she said, things have changed a little bit for the pro-life movement the past few years. I said, yep. I said, do you think abolishing abortion now might be a little more possible? And she was like, uh-huh. I was like, do you think that's why all these people were protesting last week? And she was like, uh-huh. We can abolish abortion in our lifetime. But you have to be able to envision it. You have to have this vision in your head. You have to wake up in the morning excited to abolish abortion. You have to know in your heart and your mind that it's actually possible. Because until you believe this, you're not going to start acting like it. It's simple sports psychology. If you think you're going to lose before you run onto the field or onto the track or to the court, if you think you're going to lose, are you going to win? No, you're going to be a big loser because you thought you were going to lose. Your coach would tell you the same thing. I'm your coach today. I'm telling you, you're going to win, you're going to prepare, you're going to make the plans, and we're going to make abortion a thing of the past. So, I hope I wasn't too bossy. But men and women, I hope today you understand and when you leave these doors tonight, I hope you know that ending abortion in our lifetime is possible. I hope you have that vision in your mind. And I hope you leave knowing that you can be heroes. And you have to be the heroes. It's up to us. It's up to our generation to make this possible. We need a new generation of heroes. We need rebels. Rebels like Abby Johnson that are like, hey, I'm just going to leave the abortion movement and become pro-life and go expose all their secrets on national TV. We need rebels like our student leaders from Virginia who went out with us last week at the Women's March. And when I said, get out there, they just ran. And we didn't know where we were going, but dang it, we had our banners. We need those who are our justice seekers. Those men and women who are going to say, I'm going to stand alongside every single woman in an unplanned pregnancy, a crisis pregnancy, and I'm going to make sure she has every resource she needs during her pregnancy and after. We need those who have vision. Those people like David Delight who keep texting me actually right now. Those people who say, I'm going to do something no one else has ever done before. And I'm going to go undercover for a year and a half. No one's going to know where I'm at. And then I'm just going to set off a bomb in the pro-life movement and watch it all go. We need those who have vision. We need those who have grit. My greatest example of grit is Tina, our vice president. You'll see Tina today walking around with a headset. She's our vice president, our conference director. Tina is a woman who I say, well, the Women's March doesn't let us have poles anymore, so find cardboard poles. And Tina's like, who makes cardboard poles? And dang it, she found them. Last night I said, Tina, I have to go to do this MSNBC debate. Planned Parenthood never goes on TV, I have to do it. And Tina's like, all right, we'll change the conference schedule. She never gives up. No matter what the obstacle is, she's got grit. You need to be like her. We need rebels, justice seekers, those who have vision, and those who have just plain grit, stubbornness, determination to get it done. We need a generation who will rise up, and you are that generation. Thank you. All right, one last thing before I go. I have to take a selfie real fast so I can prove I was here. Ready? Now we're gonna do this. I did this with the vice president the other day and I screwed it up and he had to fix it for me. Ready? It's really bad when the vice president does this for you. All right, ready? Say cheese. I'll do this side. Cheese. All right, I gotta run. See you guys. Give me my phone back. Amanda, my phone, I'm leaving.